It's beautiful out here today.
Is it, man? You guys got some good weather out there?
Yeah, how's it out there?
It's Phoenix, man.
Always the same.
Yeah, I mean, um, it's not like awesome. Like today's a little bit overcast, but dude, it's still 75 degrees. You know how it goes.
Wow. I don't know, but
You need to get out here, man. You need to get out here.
maybe I should. There's so much to do in life, right? So many things.
Yeah. Now that you and I can fully understand.
So many things to do. Hey, round up, homies, come on in. It is an honor to be with you today. As we are here again, we're passing 95,000 subs today, and I'm claiming it. Got 3 months, I'm done.
Claim it, baby. Let's get to that 100 number.
100,000. I'm gonna go somewhere and not take a phone call. Can you do that? Is that even legal to do?
I think we need to do it more often and just make it a thing.
Not take a phone call. I remember when it was cool. Phone ringing, like, oh, I gotta take this.
Oh yeah, you recall that? Like you felt like you were important when you took phone calls in front of people. I remember the crazy days as well.
Like now, I'm like, you taking a call, man. That means you're in charge.
Yeah, that's right. Who could be taking that call for you, right?
Basically. Yolanda, hey, good evening, good afternoon. Hey, what's up? What up? I am Chris Haskins. I'm going to be your co-pilot for today as we talk about how to find contractors. Contractors. My mission and ministry is to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. I get the chance to hang out with Mike Fritz, who I just found out recently. You know, I'm still waiting on my drawings from my architect. I turned in 2 months ago. Mike was a builder. Were you a builder or a contractor?
Yeah, both. Well, both. I started off as the doer and then kind of became more of the GC.
Delegator?
And
is that how you lost your hair?
Yeah, no, I lost my hair. I lost my hair because I didn't know some of the stuff you and I are teaching. If I'd have known that on the front end, I'd have my hair. Oh my goodness!
Stressful stuff.
Man,
Mike, so Mike, we're going to share with you some experiences we've both been through. Well, I don't know about Mike. I've lost tens of thousands of dollars to shady contractors. I just remember like it was yesterday. I remember this $1,500 I gave this guy. Never saw him again. I'm like, here you go, brother. Thank you. Never saw the dude again. So today we want to help you not waste money like I have. Have you lost money with contractors, Mike?
Yeah. I heard a contractor one time and found out the next day after we paid him because, he needed money up front. And found out the next day he was in jail. So I've had situations that are crazy. And
man, so we don't want y'all to fall predator. Was it fall prey or predator?
Fall
prey to the same foolishness that Mike and I have fallen upon, and how to actually be productive in hiring contractors. So that's what today's training is about. Hit that like button if we're helping you and subscribe to the channel. Mike, you want to start? Let's give them one real fast.
Yeah.
What is one of the strategies?
So, of course, one of the strategies for me is contractor by way of referral is most often the most trusted. So if I know Chris has vetted that person and has worked with that person, I'm going to say, okay, I know I trust this crew to do what they say they're going to do. And so by way of referral is often the lowest hanging fruit. And let's say your network is small, like maybe you don't know a Chris, maybe you don't know a Mike. Now you do because you know us here, but I'm saying like in your town, maybe you don't know somebody who can refer you. Chris is the truth. You got that right. And so let's say your network's a little low, right? Let's say your net, because that happens to some people. They're like, okay, I could ask somebody, but who do I ask in my area, right?
True that.
And so one of the things that first step is referral, if anybody. But then even referrals from people that like, property management companies. A lot of times I will call and say, hey, I'm looking at doing some properties, possibly having a property manager, looking for some contractors. I've got referral through property managers, even people that aren't necessarily my inner circle, like a Chris and I or somebody else. and I've got referrals that way. Also at local groups, local RIA groups, I can, when somebody is a contractor, I can ask around, hey, have you guys used this person? How do they do for you? So again, it's doing some vetting on the front end because I want a voucher before I just let them loose on a project. I want somebody to vouch for the work that they've done for them. And so that's one way that I've vetted some. How about you, man?
Let's do it. Yeah, we can go back and forth, toss it back. Let's stay on referrals for a minute because I heard you say something about referrals generally. Yeah, because none of this stuff. Well, I don't want to speak for Mike. From my experience, none of this stuff is airtight, 100% proof because I've referred guys that have done great jobs for me. They go to the next guy, nightmare. And vice versa. I've got a referral from a guy. I'm like, it's your guy. Yes, how many can do this for you? He comes to my job, screws it all up. So, Mike, would you say that those referrals are airtight?
Yeah, not always. Not always. Sometimes I'll get a referral, and a contractor shows up and he has something go wrong in his business where he has to bounce between some jobs that have blown up, and yours maybe not be getting the most attention. And so referrals aren't always airtight. So I always call this, we're trying to remove as much variable as possible. Anytime you do research, you want to remove variables. You do online marketing, you want to remove variables. You do real estate, what can go wrong that we can address before it goes wrong, right?
Yep.
It's the same for contracting. We want to remove as many variables as possible. One of those variables is I just don't know this person. And so if I can at least get a referral, it's at least addressing one of the variables. Doesn't mean that you won't find yourself in a position where it's, you like, shoot, this happened. But it just gives you the ability to at least address one of the variables, which if you're hiring a brand new contractor, you don't know that. And so that's one thing with referrals. How about you, Chris? I mean, are you getting referrals that sometimes don't follow through or match
they
up?
come and go, man. I just found out, and I want my roundup homies to know there are different levels of referrals. Somebody that knows them personally and have done work for them, that's one. Somebody that knows of a guy that did work for them, that's two. And somebody you heard of, that's three. So they're whole different levels of referrals. But I want to further say the guy you're looking for, man, doesn't necessarily, the referral you get could be a homeowner contractor and not an investor contractor. There's two different types of guys. The homeowner contractor is going to do work to a different level and speed and have a different type of team than an investor contractor. They're just like night and day. So your mom, Mary down the street might say, oh, I got this guy. He did a phenomenal job with my room addition on my house. And you're like, man, I want to get this guy too. And he takes 6 months to do the job. And you're like, damn, it's done perfectly, but I'm paying $1,000 a month in interest. Mike?
Yeah. That's really, really good. So you're saying, Chris, you got these, you got just a one-off next door, your neighbor had a deck put on or an addition. Man, it's great. But you're saying investor contractors, completely different game.
Huge difference, yo. Oh my Lord. These guys, they're investor contractors are speed and volume. I know I have guys that work for me that they do 30 kitchens a week. 30 kitchens a week. He's like, we did 3 to 4 a day. And when he told me that, I'm like, I don't even believe you. And then he showed me how he did it, man. I'm like, okay, you're the real deal. So Javier, if you're watching, you're probably not watching, but I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
They're because Ron manages all these doors, these thousands of doors, and he's like, Chris, I need to get people in and out fast. So 7 of them, they're doing ripping out. I'm trying to do content on my own flips, and they're do the whole kitchen in half a day. I'm like, damn, y'all didn't even give me a chance to record. So the investor contractors completely different from a homeowner contractor.
Yeah, and I tell you a mistake I made early on, and I don't know if you ran into this, Chris, where I had somebody that came in and says, yeah, we can, finish the inside. And finish the inside to me meant finish the inside. Well, to them, that
everything,
drywall, paint. And so all of a sudden I'm like, well, what are you going to do with the cat? Oh, well, we don't do that part. You got to get somebody else to do that. And I realized
he's an inside guy. He's an inside guy.
Yeah. And so I got to figure out, so I've actually got to find multiple people, or am I just finding one point person that's going to manage the entire deal and he's going to do the hire? So I had to figure out, was I hiring a doer or was I hiring the manager or the contractor or the general contractor, which means he or she manages the process. And so
Big difference.
that was a piece that I messed up on just based on low volume of information in my head. And that, you know, I'm like, oh, you know, you don't do this and you don't do that. You got to have a license.
I won't do that.
Okay?
I don't do that.
Yeah. And so I, you know, and
I
and
get
so
pissed when they tell me that, Mike. I mean, I kind of take it. I'm like, what do you mean you don't do that?
Yeah. Well, when this came at me, I was too rookie to even be pissed because I didn't know what the truth was. I'm like, oh, maybe this is just how it works, you know? And so it was good to be challenged. But yeah, so I think that understanding that you hire one person or you manage all of
together.
People, or piece it together. And there is an extra fee on top of it. So like, let's say you got to have an electrician or a plumber or a heating and cooling guy or a trim carpenter or a paint guy. You got to have all these people. If you're the one hiring all those people, you can save some money and you can do that yourself if you understand that process. Not you can hire what's called a general contractor, GC, over top of them, and they hire all those people and they have all those contacts. Sometimes they even do it all in house, but they just don't always. Sometimes the all you can do guys or do everything guys, sometimes they're not as great at all the things. They're okay at everything. They're not great at anything.
There you go. Good point.
And that's just a side of me. How about you, man?
So referrals, that's one there. I guess if you started with one, Mike. So referrals is a biggie. I like that. The way that's probably the safest way to do it, but still, it's got some holes too.
It's got some holes. Yeah. And I'm just going to be perfectly. I'll be perfectly transparent to say there is not one strategy to protect you from never having a contractor hiccup. I mean, you're going to have a guy that leaves the job or a girl that leaves the job and doesn't finish it. And you've got, they didn't, or they you know what irks me and is like the contractor's signature is doing the job and not cleaning up. I hate that.
Yeah, you gotta have the site clean, yo.
Yeah, so they do they paint and they sling paint all over everything and they don't clean it up, or they drywall and the drywall's everywhere and they don't clean it up. And so they do the job, but they don't clean the site before they leave, so it's clean for the next person. That drives me curious. So that's another just box you have to check where when contractor, but also cleaning up the position so that it's clean for your next crew or team or whoever else is coming in.
That's right.
And so referral is probably the greatest way, but just don't be so attached to, I can't make a mistake, because you're going to. It's going to be okay. You'll live through it.
Get over it.
Yep. Get over it. I like that. Put that tip down there, Chris. Get over it.
Get over it. You're going to make a mistake.
Exactly.
All right. So let's do number 2. Next one. You want me to go or you want to do
you go. You go on next, man.
What I did was I drove around the neighborhood and looked for dumpsters in the driveway. Dumpsters in driveways. So what I did when I was starting out, I still do. I'm like, oh, I'm going to flip a house in this particular area. I drove around, do my diligence. Just drove around. I see guys working right there on site. I know they're doing a renovation because there's a dumpster in the driveway. Knock on the door. Hey, man, you mind if I take a look at your work? You get to inspect the work right then and there.
Oh, that's a great idea. Great idea. And do you ever go in, you see the work, and you be like, not my cup of tea?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I know this one deal I looked at, and I'm like, yeah, they butchered this house. You know how you do work, and then you got to come back. You can always see like light switches too low or too high, door trim that's been carved out. Where it's too close to the wall, little stuff like that. I'm like, I'm not using these guys.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Dumpsters in the driveway is a big one, guys. It's going to take some time, and it's going to require you to use your mouth. And get your reps up to talk to people, because when you show up, you're going to be like, introduce yourself. What do you do? I'm a landlord. I'm a local investor. I'm looking to hire somebody for a renovation. Be polite when you talk to these guys. Don't show up like an inspector, because they're always on the edge thinking the inspectors are showing up.
I love it, man. I love it. Good. That's a power move right there. So here's one that I have done. So like where I live in a town just southeast of Phoenix, Arizona. It's called Gilbert. If you look on a map, it's just southeast of the city. Mm-hmm. And there's actually a Facebook group called Gilbert Living. And when we wanted to find a landscape person or a pool guy or anything we're hiring, a maintenance person inside for a house, I put in there, who knows of some good people in this category.
What program was that? Was that a meetup group
No,
or?
it's just a Facebook group.
Oh, Facebook. Okay, Facebook
Yeah,
group.
just Facebook group. And so I go in there and I'll post. And so this is the principle is what applies. This weekend, my parents were in town. I wanted to go to a great local pizza place. I put in the group, who knows the best local pizza places? I got like 50 comments of places. It's the same when we were looking for a landscaper. My wife actually was looking for a website designer. She put in there, found a website designer, found a photographer, found a pool guy, all off of a site like this. So now there's also, most cities have real estate groups attached to that city. I invest in South Bend. South Bend, Indiana Real Estate Group has a Facebook group. I could go in there. Hey guys, looking for a great electrical contractor in real estate groups. That you're not selling anything. That's exactly what the group is for trading contacts like that. And that's a great way to connect with people in areas that you may not be in. Somebody just put a question here, Chris. I saw it come up. How do you find a contractor if you're not local to the area? That's one of the ways I've found contractors not local to the area, is through these groups where you can connect with people that do live there, right? That are boots on the ground there and do have a, and because here's the thing, think about if Chris is a contractor, he runs a lot of jobs and he refers a contractor out to another person, that contractor is going to love on Chris more. Chris is going to be able to say, hey man, I sent you more business, maybe get a little better deals because you're more of a engine of business, creating a business.
That's true.
And so they like to shoot those names around. And so anyway, that's another way to do that I have found is Facebook groups in the area is a great way to connect with people like that.
That's cool. So I guess we could further go to say meetup groups too, if you're going to do that, because I think almost every area has some form of meetup group everywhere.
Yep. Or a REIA group, REIA, which is Real Estate Investment Association. REIA is another group of real estate people in areas. And you might have to drive if you're in more of a rural area. If you're in the middle of Iowa, you might have to drive to Des Moines or one of the bigger cities that, drive an hour or two, but it's worth it to connect with other people, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, yeah, man, like that's another one. How about you, my friend?
Let's see. Let me type in. How about going to, I'm always doing stuff that's hands-on, Mike. You always trying to do it hands-off. I'm trying to give myself more work. How about going to Lowe's and Home Depot? I love going there, driving through the parking lot, seeing the trucks, but it's a particular time of the day in the morning. Like the dudes that are getting products in the morning and or in the evening time. The best guys, from my experience, get their materials the day before. They go to those Home Depot at like 5 or 6, and they're getting all their stuff so they can go cranking in the morning at 6, 7 o'clock. So when you see, I met so many, no disrespect to my Latinos, I meet these dudes all the time at Lowe's, Home Depot, because they're there, little short dudes rolling up, got the truck, sheetrock guy. I'm like, hey, my friend.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea because again, you're connecting with people that do the work, and they're subcontract. They call them subcontractors. They're subcontractors, and man, they're always looking for work. They're always looking for good people to work for and make sure they have places to take their crews, especially if they're putting in 30 kitchens a week. Think about this a minute. If they're putting in 30 kitchens a week, how much marketing, or they need to keep business cranking if they're going to have 30 kitchens a week to be busting. So they're looking for people like Chris that are more of a chicken than an egg.
They are. CLA, is that CLA? How do you figure out renovation cost per square foot for my market?
Ooh, that's a good one, man. So how do you figure that out for your
I haven't been able to figure out its price per square foot for renovation. I mean, the one we just did was 20 grand. We're doing one of them now is 35. I mean, it just varies what the house needs, yo. I can't put a price on it.
No, and here's why for renovations, why it's not a square footage deal.
Never for me.
If a property needs a kitchen and doesn't need a quick kitchen, it changes per square foot, right? So if a place needs a full kitchen and bath reno, like you need to tear out cabinets, tear out vanities, tear out tubs, toilets, everything, flooring, versus the cabinets are really nice, they just need to be painted and spruced up. You're in two different worlds there, right?
Yeah.
And so if you said, oh, it's $50 a square foot for renovation, but one needed a kitchen and one didn't, you're going to be off your game.
Yeah.
You're going to be off your game. And so this is why there's a lot of renovation calculators, and Chris and I should put one together. There's a lot of renovation calculators out there where you can say, okay, does it need cabinets? Does it need lighting fixtures? Does it need flooring? Does it need windows, doors, siding, roof? If it needs all that stuff, that's a different ball game. So it's not more a square footage, it's more of a line item.
Yeah,
and when we'd go out to quote jobs, we'd have fix and flippers like Chris all the time when I owned my construction business come out and give us a quote to do the job. And I'm like, the job, what the heck does that mean? So I'd come out and look at the job, and sometimes it's roofing, siding, windows, doors, and he was going to get somebody to do the inside. Sometimes it's do everything. So I was the general contractor. I managed the whole process. But every time I look at the siding, it's wood siding. I'm like, okay. So I talk to the owner. Would you like to paint this? Or do you want to go over it? You know, I got to know those kinds of things. So these are the things you're going to want to know before you go into the renovation cost. And let me tell you, this is one of the, I remember this quote, Chris, you and I said this on your channel a while ago when Robert Kiyosaki said, if you want to get wealthy, you got to learn taxes because that's your biggest expense in every business.
That's true.
If you want to do real estate, especially in the fix and flip and the buy and hold renovation game, you got to know renovations.
Yeah.
You got to be able to calculate costs. You got to be able to know what the difference is between if plumbing is old cast iron versus new PVC. You've got to know that, because if it's old, you may have a much bigger reno on your hands than if it's updated and you don't have to update and you're just changing fixtures, right? And so this is something I would. This is just my opinion, Chris. You can totally disagree. I think you ought to just commit yourself to learning that process if you're not really familiar with it. That's
you got to be in there, yo. And you know what, Mike? Sometimes it's metal plumbing going in. I've had houses where we have to rip out the supply lines because they're all corroded too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And this is one of the things with multifamily buildings. Anything we buy older than 1980, we do a plumbing scope and a septic camera, because if those lines are corroded inside, the old plumbing is your biggest expense as a multifamily apartment buyer. It's the biggest expense is plumbing renovations. When it's old cast iron, old plumbing, that's why I brought it up. It's the biggest one, right? The three biggest things are air conditioners, parking lot, plumbing. Those are your three big boys in apartments. And so when we go in there, how do you know plumbing? So sometimes you snake out. For example, I bought my house. My basement, the toilet clogged when we first got here, and the plumbing was underground because I didn't pay the inspector to snake it. It cost me $5,000 to cut a hole in the concrete to have him fix it.
Where at?
In my house, in my current personal home that I own. And this is
you're on a slab. You're on a slab.
So my basement's a slab, right? Exactly. Because I have a finished basement. And so, but my point in saying that is a $200 inspector run. I could have put that back on the homeowner and said, you got to fix this. You got to fix this thing here, or at least got some money off of the asking price. But again,
that's true.
If you know that as a real estate leader, you can do that. I mean, how'd you learn all this reno, Chris? I mean, it's not like you were born knowing how to do all this. How'd you figure it all out?
Screwing it up and just being around. I think you have to taste it. You just got to taste it, man. You walk in the house, you can open up the kitchen sink cabinet and look under there. You can see, go outside, look at the roof. I don't know about multifamily, but I can look out the roof and say cast iron.
Yep.
Piping coming out the roof. Can you see it in multifamily?
Yeah. Well, there's different styles of roofs, but there's two things we look for. If it's flat roof, we know that's a heck of a lot more money than a pitched roof.
I'm just talking about the cast iron.
Oh, you mean
plumbing going through the roof?
Yeah. We can see that.
Are
you talking about the cast iron pipe coming through the roof?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. You're talking about the plumbing vent or the boot.
That's the same thing in multifamily. Is it coming through one of those?
Yes and no. I mean, a lot of times they'll change those.
Okay.
And you still don't know what's underneath, right?
Oh, so they chopped off some of it
they fix some, because a lot of times those vents change. Exactly. Well, and here's why they do that, Chris. They're up there. They got to do the roof at one point, and they're like, man, this pipe. Let's go down into the attic. Let's cut it off. Put a boot on it and put a new extender on it, and it looks PVC, but it's not underneath. One of the things I learned to look for.
Stinger.
What's that again?
That's a stinger right there, bro.
It's like a sting operation, isn't it? And one of the things that I learned from the construction business is in roofing, you have what's called drip edge. It's the thing on the edge of the roof. If there's something called a C drip, and that's something they put around the old drip edge, and it comes back, and you can tell that there's a second layer of roofing on your property. Just by looking at the edge of a house, you can see there's actually more than one layer. Well, that's good to know. If you have a layover roof, it's going to take the life out of it. A 25-year roof gets turned into a 15-year roof if it's put on another layer. And so you
We
just
never do
know all
those.
that stuff. What's that, brother?
I never do a layover. Do you?
No, because it's just you
Just
can,
pay the money, man.
but especially now with the new updated 3-dimensional shingles, layovers they just never lay as well, and so we just throw
See
it out.
people do them. I don't do them, but I know guys they roll right over top of
it. Chris is bringing it real today. You're right. You're right.
That's the truth. I'm like, they're just cheaper. You go right over it and call it a day. I mean, it's just more weight. You got less life. I mean, it costs what, $500 just to have the guy.
Yeah.
Trey, would you find it better to pay more for a GC or hire all the subcontractors and contractors and pay for the you be your own GC, pay for liability insurance?
Ooh, that's a good question. I can tell you that for me, when we hired subcontractors, we collected their GLI before we would let them in. So we would collect their liability insurance because every subcontractor has to have insurance or else they can't operate. Or
Not supposed to.
They're not supposed to
have
operate. Yeah, you're 100% right. And especially when you're hiring roofers and stuff, make sure they have the right insurance. Because, for example, trim carpenter insurance is the cheapest to get, and roofing is the most expensive. And so a lot of roofers will just get cheap insurance so they have insurance, but it really doesn't cover if they fall off your roof and sue you.
Fall off the roof.
And so anytime you're hiring subcontractors, collect their GLI or general liability insurance, so you know what kind of insurance they have, that they have it, and you have it on file. So if anything ever happens, you've got their file. Good contractors that I used to work for when I was a sub, they always collected my insurance, always.
Blondie Blue says she hired a painting sub through a referral. Unfortunately, he either did drugs or needed drugs. He did okay, but took a $250 job, turned it into a $1,250 job. That happens.
Oh,
$250 now. I will say, Blondie Blue, you might. I don't know. I can't even get my room painted for $250. I mean, I don't know what they were doing for $250.
Chris is like, this is a new world, my friend.
$1,250.
Yeah. No, that's a good point though, because sometimes contractors will come in with a cheaper bid and then upcharge you for other things. They do that cheaper bid so that my camera just froze, Chris. I'm gonna switch cameras.
No,
we're good, man. We're good. We're good. So but they'll give you a cheaper bid so that you
paint Jordan you to death.
So so you hire them. And then what they'll do is they will they'll upcharge you so that they beat the other bids, but they make more money than they do because they'll upcharge you to death. So you just have to be careful. I always say I want the job, and I'm reasonable. If they tear into the wall and the plumbing's torn out and they need to tear a bunch of stuff out, hey, I'm not make sure everyone wins. Yeah, it does. It does. And you have to be flexible, but I also want to be knowledgeable. And I will tell you this. And you can back me up on this, bro. The more knowledge you have, the less advantage you'll be taken. You'll be taken less advantage of because you'll understand the process.
Yeah.
Hard to get one over on Chris or I because we've been in this game. We know what, like I'm looking at a bid. I'm like, dude, this is missing 3 items that we know you need to do. You know what I mean? And so the more you know, the easier, the harder target you are. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you got to know. If they know you don't know nothing, hire somebody just to. I would just, matter of fact, Mike. No disrespect. My man Smitty, he's a white dude. I would just have him show up sometimes with me to some of my tenants' places. It's all about perception. It's all about perception. If they look at you a certain way and they can try to take advantage of you, you are. Oh my God, you are done.
Yeah, you're done, man. It's really, it's true. So true, man.
So your guy, I want y'all to know that you want your contractor to be busy. If he can hire him the next day, he's not your guy. He's not your guy. If you go to him and say, look, I got a $50,000 reno, I need to get done, and he writes it all up, and he goes, we can get started tomorrow or the day after, run the other way. Mike?
Yeah, that is so true. So here's one of the things I'll back Chris up on that. It's like we always say when we're renting out to tenants, the tenant that can move in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, you don't want that tenant.
Heck no.
No, you don't want that tenant because they probably just got kicked out of another property, honestly. But it's the same thing with the contractor. If they can be there tomorrow, that probably means. And Chris, I don't know if you see this. I see that with just about contractors in any industry. If I'm hiring,
with internet and stuff too.
Yeah, with anything. Yeah, if I'm hiring a Facebook ads guy and they're like I can get started today, and I'm like, what do you mean you can get started today? You ain't got nothing else to do today, brother? And so, or whatever, I talked to, the marketing guy that Chris connected me to. I sent an email and I get an automatic email back saying, due to a high volume emails, my assistant will reach out to set a call. We just want to make sure everything's efficient and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Well, when I hear that, I'm like, okay, this business is running. They're working. So you want him to be busy? Let's underscore that one.
Yeah, you want to be busy because if he can start in a couple of days, don't nobody else want him. It's almost like that whole phenomenon with the dude. He's single. Nobody want to date him, right? When he gets the sexy girl, all the girls on
him. Oh, it's so true. Yeah, everybody wants what you can't have, right? I mean, it's like that old. We never you see wet paint, don't touch. Be honest. What do y'all want to do? You want to go up there and see? You want to go up and test it? Just stick a little pinky out, like, oh yeah, that is wet. Yeah, he's right.
All right.
You got that.
We gave you guys we've been only 30 minutes, Mike.
Yeah,
we gave you out a few things to get started with. Anything else you want to leave with, Mike, when we get out of here?
Yeah, I would just again reiterate, as Chris said a minute ago, and I said a minute ago, commit yourself to learning this process because it will make you a lot of money and it will save you a lot of money in understanding this. So just don't just, this is what I did with internet. I'm like, it's just so confusing. And I just put it off and learned it about 5 years later than I should have. And I would say the same for you for contractors. Don't put it off. Learn it. Commit yourself to it. Chris has loads of videos on his channel. I have videos on mine that just talk about, you got to hire contractors. Even on my podcast, I interviewed a buddy of mine in the Bay Area. He runs 5 or 6 crews up in San Francisco, and he'll tell you one of the worst things you can do to a contractor when you are hiring them is beat them up way down on price. That's the worst thing you can do.
Don't do that.
You beat them up on price, and you're seen as more of a kind of a high risk client than a VIP client. And
you got to think about them. You have to put your mind in their mind. I like it when my guys are driving to work. I don't want to say for me, to work with me on a site, and they're like, "I'm going to work with Chris today."
Exactly.
I mean, you want them happy when they show up. You don't want them. That daggone Mike, I knew I shouldn't have taken this so-and-so job. You don't
paying me $2 an hour. No, it's 100% true, dude. 100% true. And this is really crucial. If you've never read the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, he said, highly effective people create win-win scenarios.
Win-win.
Win-win, meaning your contractors must always win when they step on your job site. Quite frankly, I want to find a way to pay my contractors more than anybody in my area. I want to be the person that pays them the best, because when I call them, who do you think is going to get risen to the top of that list?
There you go.
So this was great, man.
Hit that thumbs up, y'all. Make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. Hit the bell, and you go to Mike's channel too. He has a YouTube channel too. How do they get to your channel, Mike?
Yeah, if you just go to YouTube, Mike Fritz Real Estate, I'll pop up and come and join us over there. I'm excited to just give content out. Chris is one of my major inspirations. So trying to grow up and be like Chris.
Hey, come on,
baby.
Scope of work. I have one. Email us. I do have one.
Okay.
It's 2 or 3 pages. No, it's scope of work. We call it a construction estimator contract.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was talking about. You need that kind of thing. If Chris has got one, get one from him, because that's what you need, especially when you're just starting off and getting used to everything.
Oh man, if you don't have it, you're done.
You're done.
Okay, roundup. So in the video description, if you want to book a call to find out more about the Real Estate Ignition Inner Circle, we will be in Houston this weekend. If you want to, maybe they could stop by, Mike. I don't know. What hotel? We want to stop by and say hi, maybe?
Yeah, we'll be down the Houston West Chase. We'll be down the Houston West Chase. Won't be able to actually get in, but Chris and I will be there if you want to say hi.
Yeah, we can't let this is our inner circle meeting, but if they want to come, maybe they want to come join.
If you want to come to the inner circle, make sure you get on Chris and I's docket to hop on a call, and we'll let you know. Chris and I created an inner circle this year that we're so pumped about, helping people get deals. Our coaching call last night, teaching people how to leverage properties they don't even own to make money. That was worth.
Yeah, that was it right there.
That was crazy. So.
That was cool, powerful. Plus, Mary's got 3 deals she's doing. I'm so glad she's deploying the lease option strategy. I had to twist her arm behind her back, but thank God she's deploying that, Mike.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And you rock that for her, and she's crushing that strategy, and just had a breakthrough with that strategy. We got another person now is positioning their house to sell. They were trying to hold on to it. That was the wrong move. We got them selling that property. Got another person who's going to start renting out places and Airbnb-ing them, called rental arbitrage, and making money that way, not even owning the property. I'm telling you, this is the place to be if you want to upgrade your game.
Step your game up. Okay, so set up a call. Mike, I don't know how many slots we have available, but when you click that button,
just a couple tomorrow, because I actually fly out, so we have a couple tomorrow afternoon, and that is it for the game. Yeah,
okay, cool.
The game starts. Yeah.
Well, that's it. All right, guys. Good luck to you. Subscribe to the channel. We are at 95,000 subscribers, y'all. I need your help. Hit that button so you can help us serve more people. Help us serve more people. Like it, share with anybody else that you think needs to hire a contractor and they need this information. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Have a great day, everybody.
Yep. Talk to you. Peace.
Peace.